The news spread across Earth like wildfire. The Intergalactic Dominion, a massive alien empire, had declared war on humanity. Their message was clear: Earth would fall under their control, and humanity would serve or perish. The broadcast echoed through every television, radio, and communication device on the planet. A chilling silence followed. The world had never seen a threat like this before. In every corner of Earth, people stood frozen, staring at screens. The alien empire, known for their vast armies and advanced technology, was not a force to be taken lightly. Their fleets were already on their way to Earth, and they made no attempt to hide it. The aliens had been watching humanity for years, waiting for the right moment to strike. And now, that moment had arrived. The humans weren't prepared. They had no idea how to defend themselves against such an overwhelming power. They had weapons, sure, but nothing that could match the might of the Dominion. The world's leaders scrambled to form a response, but there was no clear plan. Some panicked, some tried to negotiate, and others prepared for the worst. In the United States, a young strategist named Jack Williams watched the broadcast from his office. Jack was a military officer, not a politician, but his mind worked differently. While the rest of the world was losing hope, Jack's thoughts raced with ideas. The aliens had underestimated humanity. They might have more advanced technology, but humans had something more powerful: creativity, resilience, and an unwavering will to survive. He knew the alien fleet would reach Earth in hours, and humanity had little time to act. But Jack also knew that fighting them head-on was suicide. The alien ships were too powerful. He thought about all the human inventions, the great ideas that had changed the world. Could those same principles work against the alien invaders? Could human ingenuity somehow find a way to overcome this overwhelming force? As Jack stood at his desk, looking at the data coming in from global intelligence reports, he made a decision. He would not sit idly by and wait for the inevitable. There was no room for fear or doubt. Humanity had to strike first, but not in the way the aliens expected. It would require a new strategy, something unexpected. The aliens thought humans were weak. They thought humans could be controlled. But Jack believed differently. It was time to show them that humans didn't just survive. They fought back, no matter the odds. The first wave of the alien fleet would arrive soon, and Earth's defense systems were in disarray. But Jack knew that if humanity was going to survive, it would take something more than weapons. It would take their greatest strength, their ability to adapt, to think outside the box, and to act decisively in the face of impossible odds. As the countdown to war began, Jack sent a message to the highest levels of command. Prepare for the unexpected. Humanity's fight is just beginning. The alien fleet was closer now, its shadow looming over Earth like a dark storm. Jack Williams had spent the last few hours preparing for the impossible. The world was bracing for the worst, but he was focused on something different. An idea, a plan that could make all the difference. Humanity's military might wasn't nearly enough to challenge the alien ships head-on. No fighter jets, no missiles, and certainly no bombs would stand a chance against the advanced technology of the Dominion. But Jack had seen something in the intelligence reports, something that most others had missed. The aliens relied heavily on their technology, but they lacked one thing humans had in abundance: resourcefulness. Jack had been working with a team of scientists, engineers, and military experts who were determined to give humanity a fighting chance. They had developed a new experimental weapon, a device that harnessed the power of Earth's natural resources in a way that had never been done before. It wasn't about firepower. It was about using the environment itself to fight back. The weapon was designed to disrupt the aliens' communication and targeting systems. It wasn't a guarantee of victory, but it was a chance. A slim one, but a chance nonetheless. Jack's plan was to strike first, to catch the aliens off guard. If it worked, it would delay their invasion just long enough for humanity to regroup and develop a more serious defense strategy. If it didn't, well, at least they would have tried. As the hours passed, The air around Earth became tense. Every military force was on high alert. Jack's team had finished their preparations, and the first strike was set in motion. Humanity wasn't going to wait to be wiped out. They were going to hit back. The weapon was launched from Earth's atmosphere, aimed directly at the approaching alien fleet. The device was small, but powerful. As it hurtled through space, Jack watched the screens, his heart racing. He had no idea if it would work, but this was their only hope. The aliens had no idea what was coming. The weapon entered the alien fleet's communication range, and suddenly, chaos erupted. Alien ships that were once perfectly synchronized now faltered. Their targeting systems went haywire, and their communications were scrambled. For the first time, the invincible fleet was in disarray. The humans had done it. They had created a disruption, and it was shaking the very foundation of the alien invasion. Jack's heart pounded in his chest as he watched the scene unfold on the screens. The Dominion's fleet was far from defeated, but they were no longer the unstoppable force they had once seemed. The aliens were confused, unsure of what had just happened. This was humanity's moment to prove that even against overwhelming odds, they could find a way to fight. The first strike was a success, but Jack knew the battle was far from over. This was just the beginning. The aliens would recover, but now they would know that humanity wasn't so easily conquered. It was a small victory, but it sent a powerful message to the invaders. Humanity doesn't surrender, Jack muttered to himself, watching the alien fleet in the distance. We never give up. The alien fleet was shaken but not defeated. The disruption caused by humanity's first strike had left them momentarily disoriented, but now the Dominion was regrouping. The humans had thrown them off balance, and that in itself was a surprise. The Dominion, known for its cold efficiency, never expected such resistance. Now they were preparing for retaliation. On Earth, Jack Williams and his team knew the war was far from over. The aliens had powerful technology, and the first strike was only a small victory. Humanity had managed to stop their advance for a moment. But what came next would determine if they could truly survive the onslaught. Jack's mind raced, analyzing what the next move should be. The aliens would strike back harder, and humanity needed to be ready. The alien fleet, after recovering from the disruption, launched a counterattack. Their ships, massive and menacing, moved with terrifying speed toward Earth. The fleet's size was overwhelming. Hundreds of ships, armed with weapons the humans could barely comprehend, now pointed directly at Earth's defenses. The atmosphere around Earth grew tense as military forces across the planet scrambled to prepare for what was coming. Jack stood in the command center, his eyes fixed on the screens in front of him. The alien ships were heading straight for the planet, and every second counted. The humans had no way of stopping the alien fleet with traditional methods. But Jack wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. He turned to his team, each of them watching the approaching fleet with a mixture of fear and determination. "We need to move quickly," he said, his voice steady despite the tension. "We may have slowed them down, but they won't hesitate to destroy us. We have to find a way to hit them where it hurts." There was a murmur of agreement, and the team immediately began working on their next plan of attack. They knew they couldn't rely on the same tactic twice. The aliens were too smart. They would adapt. Humanity needed a new strategy, something the aliens would never see coming. The alien fleet began its descent into Earth's orbit, and the first signs of their weaponry started to glow ominously. Jack's mind raced. The planet was unprepared, and the defense systems were already stretched thin. But there was one advantage that humans had over their enemies: the element of surprise. The aliens, while technologically superior, had underestimated humanity's creativity and determination. As the alien ships drew closer, Jack realized that the key to humanity's survival wasn't in brute force. It was in their ability to think outside the box. The Dominion had never encountered a species that didn't just accept their fate, but fought back in ways that no one could predict. Jack's team began working on a new daring plan that could turn the tide in humanity's favor. "Get ready," Jack said, his voice calm but with an edge of excitement. "We have one chance to do this. Let's make it count." The countdown to the next phase of the war began. The fate of Earth and humanity now rested on a new plan, one that would test the limits of human ingenuity. As the alien fleet continued to advance, Earth's forces braced for the worst. Humanity's first strike had bought them some time, but the situation was still dire. The aliens were too powerful, their ships too advanced, and their numbers too great. Jack Williams had given everything to try to prepare humanity for the oncoming storm, but the truth was, they were still fighting an uphill battle. But then something unexpected happened, something no one could have predicted. In the midst of humanity's struggle, a transmission came through to Jack's team. It wasn't a message from Earth's allies or a new military development. It was a signal from the alien fleet, but not from the Dominion itself. This transmission came from a different source, one that didn't belong to the alien empire at all. Jack's heart skipped a beat. He stared at the screens in front of him. The message was encrypted, but they quickly deciphered it. The words were simple. "We have defected. We want to help." The message was a shocking revelation. A faction within the Dominion had turned against their own people. They claimed to be part of a group of rebels who disagreed with the Empire's brutal methods. They had been watching Earth for years, and when the Dominion declared war, they knew it was time to act. The defectors explained that they had access to crucial information about the Dominion's weaknesses, its command structure, its technology, and its vulnerabilities. They could help humanity fight back, but there was one catch. The Dominion would soon learn of their betrayal, and if they were caught, the rebels would face execution. Jack and his team were stunned. This was an opportunity like no other. If the defectors were telling the truth, this could be the turning point in the war. The question now was whether humanity could trust these aliens, and whether they were truly willing to risk everything to help. "What do we do?" one of Jack's officers asked, his voice filled with uncertainty. "We can't just trust them. They're still aliens." Jack looked at the message again. The defectors had no reason to lie. They were already risking their lives by reaching out to Earth. If their information was genuine, humanity might finally have a chance. "We can't afford to ignore this," Jack said, his voice firm. "We have to take the risk. If we don't, we'll lose. Let's work with them. But we'll keep our eyes open." The decision was made. Jack sent a reply to the defectors, asking for a meeting to exchange information. This was the turning point humanity had been waiting for. They had gained an unexpected ally within the enemy's ranks, and it could very well be the key to their survival. As Jack looked out over the command center, he felt a glimmer of hope. The odds were still stacked against them, but for the first time in a long while, humanity had a real chance to win. They weren't alone in this fight anymore. The war was far from over, but now, humanity had an ally who knew the enemy better than anyone else, and that knowledge would be used against them. The days following the message from the defectors were tense. Jack Williams and his team worked around the clock, carefully considering every detail. The defectors had provided valuable information, but it was up to the humans to use that information wisely. Humanity's survival depended on this next move. There could be no mistakes. Jack sat at the head of the command table, surrounded by military leaders and engineers, all eager to put their plans into action. The defectors had shared critical data about the alien fleet's weaknesses, particularly about their communication systems and their central command ship. The most important piece of information was that the Dominion's fleet relied heavily on a single central hub for coordination. If that hub was destroyed, the alien forces would be thrown into chaos. "It's simple," Jack said, looking around the room. "We disable their command ship. That will send them into disarray. They won't be able to function without their coordination. We'll have a window to strike harder, to push them back." The engineers had been busy working on a modified EMP device, one powerful enough to disrupt the alien fleet's communication systems. With the rebel information, they were confident it would work. The device wasn't as advanced as the alien technology, but it would be enough to give humanity a fighting chance. The plan was set. The EMP device would be launched towards the heart of the alien fleet, targeting the command ship, but there was a catch. The device had to be placed inside the ship itself. The humans would need a way to get close enough to deliver it. This wasn't going to be an easy mission, and the risks were high. Still, it was their best shot. Jack's team had prepared a special team of elite soldiers, trained for covert missions. These soldiers would board an alien ship using stealth technology and plant the EMP device at the heart of the enemy's control center. If they succeeded, it would cripple the Dominion's ability to command their forces, and the rest of humanity's fleet would have a chance to destroy the remaining ships. The soldiers were briefed, their faces grim but determined. They knew the odds. No one expected all of them to come back. It was a dangerous mission, and the risk of failure was high. But they had no choice. Earth was on the line. As the soldiers prepared to board their ships and begin the mission, Jack stood alone for a moment. He looked out the window at the stars, feeling the weight of the responsibility on his shoulders. This wasn't just about military strategy. It was about hope. It was about proving that humanity could overcome any obstacle, no matter how impossible it seemed. The mission began. The stealth ships slipped through the alien defenses, avoiding detection with their advanced cloaking technology. Every move had to be precise. The EMP device had to be placed exactly where it would do the most damage. There was no room for error. Back on Earth, Jack waited, his heart pounding as he followed the mission's progress. Time seemed to drag on, but he didn't allow himself to feel fear. Humanity had come this far because they had refused to back down. This was just another step in proving their strength. And then the signal came. The EMP device had been successfully planted. The heart of the alien fleet was now disrupted, and the Dominion was in chaos. The aliens had no idea what was coming next. Humanity was ready to take the fight to them. The EMP attack had been a success. The alien fleet was in disarray. For the first time since the Dominion had declared war, the humans had gained an upper hand. The once unified alien forces were now stumbling. Communication systems were down, and their central command ship was crippled, throwing them into confusion. The aliens, who had always believed in their unbreakable power, were now questioning everything. On Earth, Jack Williams and his team watched the results unfold. The alien ships, once so synchronized, were now drifting apart, unable to coordinate effectively. Ships that had been advancing on Earth now slowed, some even turning back in retreat. The entire alien strategy was falling apart, and Jack knew it was a matter of time before the Dominion realized their central command was lost. But humanity had to act fast. "This is our chance," Jack said, his voice low but determined. "They're panicking. If we move quickly, we can strike a fatal blow." The rebellion inside the Dominion was spreading like wildfire. Ships that were once loyal to the Empire were now questioning their leadership. The alien defectors who had aided humanity had provided not just tactical information, but also insight into the inner workings of the Dominion's ruling class. Their system, which had always seemed unshakable, was starting to crack from within. As Jack and his team prepared for their next move, reports came in from all over the world. The aliens were not only fighting the humans, they were also fighting among themselves. The fear of rebellion was taking root in the heart of the Dominion. Some factions, once loyal to the Empire, had begun to question their leaders. The arrogance that had driven the Dominion to conquer the stars was now their biggest weakness. The fear of insurrection and the realization that they might not be invincible was spreading fast. It wasn't just the war that was breaking down the Dominion's strength, it was the politics. The alien factions that had once been united under a single banner were now at odds. The alien leaders who had ordered the attack on Earth were facing opposition from within their own ranks. Some ships had begun to turn away from the fight, uncertain about the war they had been dragged into. It was chaos. In a private meeting with his closest officers, Jack couldn't hide the small grin that appeared on his face. "We've got them on the ropes," he said, his eyes bright with the energy of a leader who knew victory was within reach. "We need to hit them now, while they're distracted. They're falling apart, and it's up to us to push them over the edge." The atmosphere in the command room was filled with a new sense of purpose. The humans had done what no one thought possible. They had disrupted the aliens' perfect plan, and now, the Dominion's own internal collapse would do the rest of the work for them. The rebellion was no longer just a secret hope. It was a wave spreading through the enemy's ranks. Jack's strategy was simple: exploit the chaos. While the alien forces scrambled to restore order, humanity would launch a surprise attack on their weak points. The rebellion within the Dominion's ranks was a perfect opportunity for a final blow. But Jack knew this war wasn't over yet. The aliens still had power, and their revenge would be swift if they regrouped. They had to strike now, before the Dominion could recover. It was a risk, but it was the only one that mattered. Humanity's fight for survival had entered its most dangerous phase. The fate of the world rested on their ability to act decisively. The chaos within the alien ranks was undeniable. Their communication was fractured, their leadership uncertain, and their fleets scattered. Jack Williams could sense that the Dominion's empire, once proud and unstoppable, was on the verge of collapse. But the fight wasn't over yet. The Dominion's surviving forces were still a formidable threat. They might be in disarray, but they weren't out of the fight. It was time to take the final step. "We've got one shot at this," Jack said, his voice steady. "We hit them hard. We go for the heart of their remaining forces. We take their flagship. Once we destroy it, their control will shatter." The plan was risky, but it was the only way to ensure the war would end. Jack's team had already secured information about the alien fleet's remaining strongholds. Their command ship, although severely damaged, was still operational and had moved to a secure position. It was heavily guarded, but Jack knew that if humanity could destroy it, the alien fleet would fall into complete chaos. It was the heart of the Dominion's command structure, and without it, their forces would be lost. The human fleet, bolstered by new tactics and the advantage of surprise, moved into position. Every soldier, every officer, knew the stakes. This wasn't just a battle. It was the final stand. If they succeeded, humanity would be free. If they failed, Earth might be lost forever. Jack was leading the charge, commanding a fleet of human ships that were now fully integrated with the alien technology they had stolen from their former enemies. The defectors had provided vital knowledge, and humans had adapted it to create weapons capable of fighting on even terms with the alien fleet. Jack's ship, at the front of the fleet, was equipped with the latest human-made tech and alien upgrades. The battle began as the human ships engaged the alien forces in a fierce clash. Laser blasts lit up the sky, and the roar of engines filled the air as human fighters dodged the alien attacks. Jack's strategy was to divide the enemy forces, drawing them away from their flagship and creating an opening for the final strike. "I need the EMP ready," Jack said into his comms, his mind calculating the next move. "As soon as we reach the flagship, we disable everything. No communication, no backup." The human fleet's ships darted around the alien forces, using hit-and-run tactics to disrupt their lines and sow confusion. The Dominion's forces tried to regroup, but the chaos they were facing from within their ranks left them unable to mount a proper defense. The alien ships tried to fight back, but the humans were relentless. Jack watched from his command center, his pulse quickening as the fleet pushed closer to the heart of the Dominion's forces. Then it came, the moment of truth. Human ships broke through the final wave of alien fighters and reached the flagship. The alien ship loomed large in front of them, a massive structure brimming with weaponry and strength. It was the center of their control. And now, humanity was at its doorstep. Jack's ship took the lead, unleashing a volley of firepower on the flagship's outer defenses. The EMP device, a last-ditch effort to disable the command ship systems, was launched. The world held its breath. Seconds passed like hours. Then the lights of the alien flagship flickered and went dark. The EMP had worked. The flagship's systems were down. The Dominion's command structure had been destroyed. It was over. The remaining alien ships faltered, their fleet now leaderless. Without their flagship, they could not fight as one. One by one, they turned and retreated, their once invincible forces now crumbling. Humanity had won. Jack looked out at the alien fleet, now in retreat. The war was finally over, and Earth had survived. Humanity had shown its strength, its resilience, and its ability to overcome impossible odds. The Dominion had underestimated the power of the human spirit, and that had been their greatest mistake. The battle was won. The alien fleet, once a terrifying force, had retreated in disarray. The flagship, the heart of the Dominion's control, was now a lifeless wreck floating in the vacuum of space. The chaos that had torn through the Dominion's command structure had done what no weapon could, rendering the alien empire powerless. Earth had survived. But as Jack Williams watched the alien ships retreating, he knew the war wasn't truly over until the Dominion acknowledged defeat. There were still questions left unanswered. The aliens, while disorganized, were not a race that easily admitted failure. Their pride, their belief in their superiority, was a dangerous thing. Jack knew they would not accept surrender lightly. The next few hours were tense. The human fleet had won the battle, but now it was time to face the political fallout. Would the Dominion fight to the last, or would they finally accept that they had been defeated by a species they had once thought insignificant? Jack was in the command center when the communication came in. It wasn't from the human forces. It was from the Dominion. The message was simple, yet chilling in its finality. "We surrender." The words echoed through the command center. Jack couldn't believe it. The Dominion, the mighty empire that had believed they would conquer Earth without hesitation, was giving up. They were surrendering to humanity. The news spread quickly through every military channel, and soon it was being broadcast to every corner of the planet. The people of Earth reacted with disbelief. The idea that the Dominion, a galactic empire that had seemed invincible just days ago, had been brought to its knees by humanity was nothing short of astounding. Victory, once an impossible dream, had become a reality. But for Jack, the victory was bittersweet. The war had cost countless lives, both human and alien. The battle for Earth had been brutal, and many had paid the ultimate price for the survival of their species. As Jack stood in the command center, he thought about the soldiers who had fallen, the families who would never be the same. Their sacrifices had made this victory possible, but at what cost? "Prepare for the negotiations," Jack ordered, pushing the thoughts of loss aside. "We'll make sure this peace is lasting." The terms of the surrender were simple. The Dominion would acknowledge Earth's independence and leave the planet untouched. In return, humanity would not seek revenge. The aliens would be allowed to leave in peace, but their empire would never again threaten Earth. The final agreement was signed, and for the first time in history, a human-made treaty would bind a galactic empire to its terms. As Jack stood on the balcony of the command center, looking out at the stars, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had faced an impossible enemy and had not only survived, they had triumphed. The alien fleet was gone, and Earth was free. The people of Earth had shown the galaxy that they would never be subjugated, no matter how great the threat. The war had ended, and humanity had emerged victorious. The war was over, but the consequences of the battle would be felt for years to come. Jack Williams and his team had led humanity to victory, but now they faced the difficult task of rebuilding. Earth had survived, but the galaxy was forever changed. The Dominion, once the most powerful empire in the universe, was now a shattered force. Their fleets were broken, their leadership in ruins, and their once unstoppable momentum had come to an abrupt halt. Jack sat in a meeting room, surrounded by the leaders of Earth's nations and military commanders. There was a sense of quiet relief in the air. But Jack knew that the real work had just begun. Rebuilding after a war of this scale was never easy. The world had been forever altered. People had lost their homes, their families, and their sense of security. Trust had to be rebuilt, not just between nations, but with the alien defectors who had helped humanity win. "We need to plan carefully," Jack said, looking around the table at the faces of the people who had helped lead humanity to victory. "This is not just about rebuilding Earth. The galaxy has changed, and we need to understand what that means for us. We can't afford to rush into anything. We need to be strategic." The room nodded in agreement. The leaders of Earth had made it through the war, but there was no time to relax. The power dynamics of the galaxy were shifting. Once, the Dominion had ruled with absolute authority. But now humanity had shown the galaxy that they were capable of standing up to even the most advanced alien empires. The balance of power had tipped, and Earth was now in a position to influence the future of the galaxy. One of the defectors, an alien named Kalen, who had once served the Dominion, stood at the front of the room. She had been one of the first to reach out to humanity, providing invaluable intelligence that helped turn the tide of the war. She had risked everything for the sake of peace, and now she was working alongside humans to help rebuild what had been lost. "We must be careful with the other factions," Kellen said, her voice calm but firm. "There are many in the galaxy who still see Earth as a threat, even after the war. They may not have joined the Dominion, but they will watch humanity closely. The defectors are on your side, but others are not." Jack nodded. He had expected this. The victory against the Dominion was only part of the challenge. The real test would be securing peace in the aftermath. The galaxy was a vast, complicated place, and there were still many unknowns. There were factions that would see humanity's rise as a challenge to their own power. There would be rivalries, alliances, and hidden dangers. The future of Earth, and its place in the galaxy, was uncertain. "We need to build alliances," Jack said, his voice steady. "We can't do this alone. But we also need to be cautious. We've earned respect, but we haven't earned trust from everyone. The next step is diplomacy. We need to show that humanity can be a strong and reliable ally." The room was silent for a moment. Everyone understood the weight of Jack's words. The future was uncertain, and there was no easy path forward. But one thing was clear. Humanity had shown the galaxy that they were not to be underestimated. They had fought, they had won, and now they would have to find their place among the stars. As Jack looked out the window, watching the stars stretch out before him, he felt a mix of hope and uncertainty. Earth had survived. Humanity had won. But now, the real work of shaping the future would begin. The war was over. The alien fleets had retreated, and Earth had emerged victorious. The Dominion, once a ruthless empire that had spread across the galaxy with force and fear, had been defeated by humanity's ingenuity, resilience, and unyielding spirit. The galaxy was forever changed, and so was humanity's place in it. But as Jack Williams looked out over the quiet streets of Earth, he knew the battle wasn't truly over. The peace was fragile, and the road to recovery would be long and challenging. The galaxy was vast, filled with countless species, some of whom had been watching humanity's rise with growing curiosity and suspicion. Earth's victory had shaken the balance of power, and while some saw it as a triumph, others saw it as a threat. Jack understood that. The Dominion's defeat had not erased the deep-rooted rivalries that existed in the galaxy. There were still factions that would seek to challenge humanity's newfound position. There were still dangers lurking in the shadows. The future was uncertain, and Earth would need to navigate this new reality with care and wisdom. In the days that followed, Jack worked tirelessly with the leaders of Earth and the defectors who had helped them win. The focus was on diplomacy. Humanity had to prove that it wasn't just a conqueror, it was a partner. Earth's leaders knew that they could not act as though they were still the underdogs. They had earned the right to stand on equal footing with the other races in the galaxy, but they also knew that respect had to be earned. not demanded. Humanity's first step was to reach out to the other species in the galaxy, offering peaceful negotiations and alliances. Many of the species that had remained neutral during the war were uncertain about what Earth's new role would mean for them. The Dominion had been a common enemy, but with their collapse, the old alliances were crumbling, and new ones were being forged. Jack knew that trust would take time to build. Even though humanity had proved its strength, there were still many who would be wary of humans. The next chapter in Earth's history wasn't just about survival. It was about forging a future that would benefit all races, not just humanity. The first meeting between Earth and other galactic leaders was tense. The room was filled with representatives from various species, some of whom had never dealt with humans before. Jack sat at the head of the table, the weight of the galaxy's future on his shoulders. He had fought for Earth's survival, but now he had to fight for its place in the galaxy. "We are not the conquerors the Dominion made us out to be," Jack began, his voice steady and calm. "We are a people who have fought for our survival. We are a people who value peace, innovation, and the strength that comes from unity. We are offering a hand in partnership, not dominance. Together, we can build a future that is stronger than the one that was." The room was silent for a moment, the alien leaders exchanging glances. Then, one by one, they began to speak. Some were cautious, but many expressed their willingness to work with humanity. Jack could feel the tide turning. Humanity's place in the galaxy was no longer in question. They had earned their place, not through force, but through determination, resilience, and the willingness to work toward a better future. As the meeting concluded, Jack stood by the window once again, looking out at the stars. Earth had survived, and humanity had proven its worth. The future was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, there was hope. The galaxy had seen what humans could do when faced with the impossible, and now humanity had a chance to shape that future. A new dawn was rising for Earth, a dawn filled with endless possibilities.